everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So, I got quite a lot done since last time. I'm at a total of over 190,000 stitches. So, woohoo! And I got most of the peahen's body done over the last few days. Yeah. Most of her belly is complete. I'm kind of working on her chest and neck area today, and I was browsing through the pattern earlier, and it looks like I will get my very first 0 today, stitching with you also. Yeah, that is exciting. Been waiting quite a while for that one, because I started working on this one during my Stitch With Me May of 2023, I believe. So yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, there's a few other colors that are sort of 100 stitches or below, but I looked ahead and it was like here on the peahen's chest, and then like in the very bottom right hand corner was a few more stitches. So yeah, there's one other color here I might reach a 0 on pretty soon. Probably not during today's session, but yeah. The others they've counted down to very few stitches left, but unfortunately they're not in this pass. They're in the last pass, so yeah. We'll probably get some other colors zeroed out first before I get there. Yeah. Well, that's because I think, well, there's pale bits at the bottom in the bottom right-hand corner, but also because the peacock's tail stretches across basically the rest of the piece. Yeah, I can't really zero out colors until I get to the end. There aren't very many. Yeah, so it all depends. But I enjoy the process, right? Yeah, I certainly do. Ooh. Oh my goodness, pardon me. Yeah, we're all fighting off a bit of a virus. At least my husband and I are. Yeah, he said everyone at work is kind of feeling off, and so mostly just tired, like not feverish or like any other symptoms, just very tired. Yeah, I kind of have, by the end of the day, I feel pretty much normal. Then I wake up in the morning and feel kind of lousy again. Oh, what you gonna do, right? Yeah, no fever, nothing like that. Just tired and a little bit of muscle soreness. Yeah, we are finally having our cold snap. There's an extreme cold warning today. It's ambient minus 30 something, but with the wind chill, it's minus 44. So yeah, gross. My husband had his truck, plugged in for the block heater and battery blanket, but even so, starting it up this morning, holy cow, that was really rough sounding. You could hear everything straining. It's like, eek. So yeah, he drove our son to school today. And we'll pick him up because he said, yeah, a little easier rather than taking his vehicle, easier on the engine if it can just sit. Plus, like at work, my husband has a place to plug in, and at the high school, my son does not. There are no places to plug in the cars, so yeah. When it is that cold, there's always the fear that the car will not start at all. And yeah, if it's cold enough that the car won't start, I'd rather have it at home, right? Rather than, yeah, having to abandon it somewhere. So yeah, there isn't rules at my son's high school about no overnight parking, but yeah, that can be a pain sometimes. A lot of places will not allow you to park overnight. Yeah, I remember my grandparents, they had an RV. They would travel for about 6 months of the year after retirement. Yeah. They had a great big house with like 5 bedrooms. And it was a really old house, actually. It was built like turn of the century, so it had like servants' quarters. Yeah, 2 sets of stairs. There's servant stairs and regular stairs. And yeah, it was a big grand house. And they sold that, and they got a trailer park model to live in during the summer here, and then they got an RV that they would spend the winter in the States. They traveled all across, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, they took us with them on the occasional, not across the border, but in the summer, yeah, they would take us camping in the RV, so I've got a lot of fond memories of that. Yeah, I remember though, it sucked because you couldn't always see the screen door, and so many times me or my sister or my cousin would run right into it and then tumble down the stairs because it looked like the door was open, right? And then you'd go to step, the screen would stop you momentarily and then pop open and you'd lose your balance, and yeah, down you'd go. So my grandma got some yarn and embroidered some big stars on the screen so you could actually see when it was closed. Yeah. I mean, sure, I suppose we should have learned to sort of check if there's a screen on the door, but you know, kids, right? They don't think of that stuff. Yeah, so if we weren't staying at a campground, we often parked in a mall parking lot overnight. Yeah, I remember they had this big old diesel truck to tow it, so we always knew when they were coming to visit because you could hear it coming from, 2 blocks away. It was really loud. Yeah. Okay, I'm thinking I'm probably going to do 2 strands here. Except, let me take a look. No, maybe I can do this with 1. We'll make kind of weird shapes, but we won't close in on all 4 sides, so that's, as usual, what I try to avoid. Yeah, so on the mock-up, this area looks a lot more white on the original picture, but yeah, when you stitch it, there's a lot more other colors. There's very few white stitches, maybe a couple dozen in this area were white. The rest were all cream and pale blue and pale gray. Yeah, just like the white parts on the peacock's wing, same thing, I noticed. Yeah, I find most cross stitch I do tends to stitch up a little bit darker than the mock-up. At least Heaven and Earth Designs did. The Majora's Mask piece I did. Yeah, the artisty ones that I've done, actually, they seem the most sort of true colors to the picture. They didn't seem to stitch up much darker, but I've been happy with all of them, so that's the important part, right? But it can make a difference, because I remember Needlebug was working on the Sewing Woman, which is like a classic, what you might call it, piece of art, and she brightened it up a bit, recharted it and brightened it up, and made big difference. It looked so much better. Yeah. Because before it was kind of dull. The colors were kind of dulled. And yeah, I feel like the details were kind of lost. And when she turned up the brightness, yeah, it really brought that detail sort of into focus. It looks really good. So. Okay. So, yeah, slightly weird shapes, but so this is the color that I am going to finish today. Yeah. As you can see, that will be the first 0. So yeah, I got rolling over to 50% on camera, and getting my first 0 will also be on camera. So, okay, park this here because it's not connected. I'm going to add that color. Okay. Yeah, it was weird. My phone updated and it messed with the alarms. So even though I had a sound selected, it would only vibrate when the alarm went off. Yeah, because like I use my phone, I have brown noise playing through headphones, and then when the alarm goes off, the sound stops playing and the alarm's supposed to sound. Well, it would stop the sound playing, but it would just vibrate. And yeah, I said, like, I'm a light enough sleeper that just like the sound brown noise cutting out would be enough to wake me up, plus the vibration of the phone. But I said that would really suck for someone who was a heavy sleeper and counted on it to wake them up. Yeah. So the way to fix that, they said, was to go into the alarm, go to the sound, scroll up to where it says haptics, and change it to something besides synchronized. Because for some reason, yeah, when it's on that setting, since the update, it didn't have any sound, just the vibrations. So that was a way to fix it. So I made a fake one to go off like 3 minutes later to test it, and did the same as if I use it when I'm sleeping, which was to, plug in my headphones, have the video playing, and then see. And at that time, yes, it worked. It went off. The sound went off too. So it's kind of annoying because it was one of those, I searched on the official Apple website and even they couldn't figure out how to fix it. It's their own technology. I finally found the answer on Reddit. Somebody found the workaround. Often seems to be the way. Yeah. Some end user is the one who figures out the workaround and not the people who designed it. Yeah. Kind of frustrating because I know I don't code, so I know it's pretty complex and things get tied together that you wouldn't expect to be. So when you you change one, fix something, you break something else, and yeah. But I said it's kind of annoying because yeah, I actually don't really like updating my phone because a lot of times it means some feature I like stops working. Like they had for a while after it updated the podcast app, you couldn't see the queue you had anymore, because before that you could add episodes to the queue, pardon me, and rearrange them if you wanted. And you could see, okay, it's playing this one next and then that one next and after that. And yeah, they changed it and I was really annoyed, and I looked and there was no fix. And then they updated again like a week later, fixed it. I'm like, well, I must have not been the only person who was annoyed by that because yeah, I have like 3 podcasts I listen to, and I kind of alternate episodes. So I'd like to be able to see what's coming up next and maybe change it if I feel like it. And yeah, I was very annoyed that I could not. And it was like, it wasn't broken. Why did you fix it? Okay, here we go. The very first 0. Pin stitch it. And find my scissors, trim it, and ta-da! 0. Woohoo! So take that one out of my working tray, put it back in the envelope, and I can put this envelope back into my master set because it is done. Woohoo! finally. I know I have a few people who have been eagerly looking forward to that zero, so yeah, there's one other color here that is getting close to zero, but it has a bunch on her chest and then like one lone stitch in the tail later on in this pass. So I will reach a zero with that in probably this month, if not next month, but that's kind of frustrating. It's like all but one lone stitch. I suppose I could just do it, but like I say, I don't like to do stitches floating off by themselves. I like them to always be connected to some previously stitched work. That way I don't make as many counting mistakes. Because yeah, otherwise when it's floating off by itself, I can miscount and then I have to rip it out later, and I really don't like doing that. So yeah, I've been kind of working a bit from the top down and the bottom up, just sort of meeting in the middle there. I wanted to save that zero for you guys to see, so yeah, that meant instead of stitching more downwards, I started stitching more nearer the top, so I could save that zero for us to celebrate it together. All right, this thread is going to run out soon. Yeah, so this is the color I believe that, yeah, it's got a bunch here and then one lone stitch, yeah, over in the tail later, so zero's coming, but not for a while. Not for another couple weeks at least, I would say. So probably next month. Yeah, I don't think I will finish this pass until probably April. Yeah, because I'm kind of like at about the halfway point right now. Because it's like 550 and this is line 240 here, so actually not quite at halfway. Oh, that is twisted and looks funny. Yeah. Let's try that again. All right, there we go. Oh dear. Yeah. Getting right to the end there. It's kind of raggedy. There we go. Okay, so did that one. Still crossing those. So thinking 195 by the end of the month might be doable. We'll see. That would keep me on track with the 8,000. Actually, that would put me a little bit ahead. Yeah, because I started this month at 187,000, so. Oh no, that's right, yeah. I told you I'm no good at math. Yeah, so that would put me right on track there. So I've said 8,000 a month means I will not be done by the end of the year. It'll be pretty close, but not quite. Yeah, like the ambient temperature out there is not so bad, so my furnace isn't running constantly, but yeah, that wind chill, you definitely don't want to be outside. Yeah, we did the same thing. Did grocery shopping. My husband drove us in the truck because we were all in the driveway, so it could be plugged in. It was like my car, then our son's Jeep, and then his truck, and so it was like, yeah. Rather than moving other cars out of the way when it's that cold, we decided to just use the one vehicle. Yeah. Okay. That's a longer piece than I thought. Oh, I forgot to mark one that I parked there yet. Yeah, this one that I parked there. I just forgot to mark it. No prob. Well, speaking of the furnace, there it goes. Yeah, I used to be a lot more aware of how cold it was because our old windows would get all iced up. And when it was like -40, you would get like sometimes a couple inches in the corners. It was awful. Yeah. So we invested in energy efficient windows, and it's been really nice. That hasn't been a problem since. But yeah, I have a video of my son with an old credit card scraping ice off the inside of the living room window when he was a toddler. Yeah, he found that fascinating. Okay, this is a short piece, so I'm going to park it up here to do that one stitch by itself. And then I will take over with a new piece. Okay, I'm just gonna double check that one there. Okay, so this one I'm gonna tie off. It's short anyway, so yeah. It would not have reached to those 3 stitches and do them, so it works out perfectly. Same thing, I'm gonna check the length of this one down here. Yeah, that's pretty long. Okay. Yeah, they're both pretty long, so I'll have more than I need here, no problem. Because, like I say, I always save the leftover pieces, so nothing gets wasted. All right, let's start a new one there. So this is another color. Oh yeah, this is the one that I said there's like one lone stitch out there, so I will not get a 0 yet, even when I'm done her chest. Yeah. But it is counting down. Yeah, so if I can keep to my 8,000 a month, I will pass 200,000 stitches by the end of March. I was going to say February, but this month is February. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, and like I say, I manage about 100,000 a year on this main project, so I will still have over 106,000 left at that point. So yeah, I won't be done by the end of the year. I will be done probably in the spring of next year. Okay, so that. So yeah, kind of curving out here, but also working kind of diagonally within this bit of color. Oops. Just slowly growing it out. Okay. Yeah, so we'll see how long it takes till I get another 0. I guess, yeah, partway across this one. And then we'll see if we get any for the rest of this pass or not, because I was browsing ahead last night, and yeah, it doesn't look like I'll reach another one, because it looks like the colors that are close to being done, being zeroed out, are at the bottom of the piece, so they will not be zeroed out anytime soon. I know there's some people who do the stitching extreme cross country where you do all of one color across the whole piece, and they'll say every now and then they'll search out a few with only 3 or 4 stitches so that they can get some zeros. Yeah, those are always very satisfying. So yeah, I'm thinking I will hit 2/3 done, possibly end of March. So after we finish her chest area, there's going to be a whole bunch of that darker greens coming up. And the browns as well. Yeah, and then I think there's a little bit of purple flower at the very far right-hand side. Not much, though. Yeah, I love the colors on this piece. Yeah, I've seen some really stunning ones people have done that were like 10 or fewer colors, and they look amazing, but I don't know if I could stitch one. I think I would get bored. Yeah. And I'm not a max color person because all that confetti would drive me nuts, so yeah. The around 90 colors is my happy place. Yeah, like I've seen a Middle Earth map people have done a lot. And I mean, it looks stunning, but yeah, I think I would get bored because it's very few colors. Wrong color, I wanted that one. There we go. Goodness. I have a hard time finding the right spot. Oh, I blasted past 100 and didn't even notice it. Nice. See how far down I want to go. Yeah, so that provides a natural break point sort of right there. So it's the edge of her body there, so the colors change as it's stitching feathers at that point, the other bird's feathers. So yeah, that makes a good natural stopping point. That's where I'll cut it off, and I'll just keep on finishing all of her before. Then it'll be time to move my frame over again, I think. Yeah, I sort of move my frame about once a week, I find. So sort of about every 2,500 to 3,000 stitches or so. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how much I get done, because like I said, I can't stitch when I watch figure skating, which I love to follow, and there's another competition this month, the Four Continents, which is the opposite of the Europeans, basically, so yeah. Yeah, I discovered the Skating ISU channel on YouTube, so now I watch that rather than part of my cable broadcast package, because I find sometimes they don't show, or they only show a few highlights, and I like to watch the whole thing pretty much. Well, it depends. Some of them I will skip the first couple of flights of skaters and just do the last 2 or 3, but yeah. When it's Worlds or Olympics, I watch all of it. They stream the whole thing, so yeah, I used to watch, they had the CBC Sports app, but they stopped supporting it, and I didn't like that it would put in the headline sort of who had won before I had a chance to even watch the stream, and it was like, well, thanks a lot. I didn't want to know that ahead of time, because I don't watch it while it's live a lot of times, because I don't like sitting through all the breaks, because I'm impatient, so yeah. But I don't like when they'll actually tell you ahead of time who won. That's like, because I'll watch it sort of the next day. Except the Olympics, I generally watch live, yeah. Yeah, I said last Olympics I kept scaring my guinea pig because I would cheer, yeah. Yeah, I miss that little floof. She's been gone over a year now, but yeah. Still get sad sometimes when I find a leaf amongst the cut up broccoli, because those were her favorite. She loved them. Yeah. And she didn't get very many of them, so. Yeah, sometimes at the store I would find people had broken them off and left them behind, so I would grab them too. I'm sure people were like, why is she taking the leaves? Right? You don't normally eat that part. But it was like, yeah, because the guinea pig, she loved them. And bell peppers. She loved the seeds. She would eat the flesh of the bell pepper too, but the seeds were her absolute favorite. Yeah. She never got sick of them. Yeah, like I said, when we first got her, she was starving. You could feel all her ribs when you petted her, and she ate everything we gave her. But then after she'd been with us for a while, she started to get picky. Yeah, because she knew then that she was going to get fed enough so she could afford to be. Yeah. So actually it was kind of heartwarming when she got picky. That was when we knew she trusted us. Yeah. Yeah, she was a rescue. Somebody abandoned her in a parking lot. So we took her in. Well, it was my sister-in-law was staying with us for a while. She was renting out a room in our house, and she had arranged somebody to take her, but she didn't want to leave her because she worked at PetSmart. She didn't want to leave her in the store over the weekend while she was off, and so she brought her home temporarily, and then the foster family changed their minds, and so she just never left. She became ours. So yeah. Often happens that way, right? Yeah. Okay, so those. All right, so I'm going to go a little out of order here. Be more efficient with my thread. But like I say, they're still connected. Those two on the top, on the one side, so yeah, I will do that even if it's not quite perfectly smooth. But yeah, with this method I don't worry about it. So I say out of order, I mean usually I would do those 3 stitches there in the middle, and I'm not first, but yeah. However, with this one, I'm not going to do sort of that one stitch there because it is not connected on any sides. I don't do any connected by corners, generally. I have some leftover pieces that are only good enough for one stitch, so yeah. I will use one of those for that one that's right here later when I get to it. check this other piece down here. Yeah, that's not terribly long. Okay, I think this color is not used again for a while, yeah. Yeah, this is one of the ones that I think it's used again at the very bottom of the piece, so it will not be zeroed out yet. Oops. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Tied itself in a knot right at the end there. Ugh. What a mess. Oh my gosh. How did that even manage to do that? Oh, I got messed up with another thread here. I don't think this has ever happened to me before. What a mess. Yeah. Ugh. What a pain. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how that happened. Darn it. Okay, there we go. Oh, good. Yeah, okay, it got tangled up around itself, but I didn't have to undo it, so those pin stitches are still in place. So there, yeah. Tied itself in a loop right at the end there. Okay, so yeah, this is not used again. Yeah, it's right in the very bottom right-hand corner, so that will not be zeroed out either till near the very end of the project. All right, so where was I? Ah, here we are. So actually, I thought it was tied around another part thread, but no, it was just tied around itself somehow. Okay, this will be a tight squeeze, but I think I might be able to manage to get these last 6 stitches out of this strand. Oh yeah, that was super close, but managed. Oh, come on. Provided I can secure it, that is. There we go. There we go. So those ones are done. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted, you could choose to do that floating stitch there. That's just my way, is to not do them, but you know, I'm not going to say you're wrong. There's no rules, so do what works for you. Oh dear. That stitch is a little bit loose. Yeah. Okay, that's no problem. I can fix that. Yeah, it's only one strand of it is loose. So, take a scrap piece of thread. Just put it through that loop there. Fiddly little thing. Yeah, sometimes if you didn't pull it completely taut, then it can end up with a bit of a loose stitch, but that's okay. Then just pull it back down to the wrong side and tie off like usual. And there. No need to cut anything out. Because yeah, I find I flip it over and you try to pull on all the threads trying to find the loose one, and I swear it's like it's impossible to find it from the other side. It's such a pain. So yeah, I figured out this way of fixing it. Without having to tear anything out, because nobody likes doing that, right? Oh yeah, we're gonna go blasting past 200. We're not very many colors in this area, so I was able to make good progress today. Yeah, so I think I'll just fill this in, smooth this out, and then that's where I'm gonna be quitting for the day. There we go. I'll just finish these off and then, yeah, this is the one where it's got one last stitch that isn't connected to this bird here. It's on the other bird's tail. So almost looked like I was gonna get another 0, but nope. All those there. All right, 248. Wow, that is definitely a good number. I'm happy with that. So thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.